This past week wasn't quite status quo, not in a bad way, but in a more kind of realistic way. So, for the past month, I've been really taking advantage of my hermit status. And since I haven't gone out of the house that much, it's been really easy for me to control everything I've been eating. Usually, I know exactly what's going into my plate and also how much of it. I always have the food scale out on the counter, so it's easy just to measure things out. Or I'm using measuring spoons and utensils. I've never used measuring spoons as much in my life, except when I'm baking, because usually I'm just measuring by eyeballing things or just by how many handfuls of chips I want to eat. And you can see where that got me. So I always knew this wasn't quite something I want to do 24/7 to perfection, like 100% of the time, because for me, especially around social events, so meeting friends or with family and also for around the holidays, it's always centered around food. So I always knew it was something where there were going to be days where I wouldn't be as 100%, really strict on everything. Not to the point, of course, where I'm going to be eating everything and just indulging on all of the, bad vices that I've had in the past, but just that I would give myself a little bit of leniency because for me, that's kind of the balance in life that I've always, really wanted to have. So this past weekend, I saw my best friend from college. It was, of course, so nice, catching up with her and meeting up, but that always, of course, comes with food. So we're trying to figure out what to do for lunch. And at first, for probably about 5 to 10 minutes, I was kind of a little bit, I wouldn't say stressed necessarily, but just kind of trying to figure out, like, problem solve. What am I going to do with this? Where are we going to go? Do they have nutritional information? How am I going to log this in my fitness pal? And also, do I want to be that person who's, buying a chicken breast that's way overpriced? Not really. If I'm going out to eat, I don't want to pay for a chicken breast that I could just cook on my own. So overall, we ended up getting ramen, and that's very hard, in my opinion, to match on my fitness pal. So what I did is I just chose the thing that was the closest to it, and then just worked around that for the day. And I went a little bit over, I will admit, for my macros and also for my calories for that day. But the important thing for me was the following day that I get back on track. Because usually in the past, if I had a day that I missed or if I didn't have, the perfect performance, then it would kind of set me down this path of, oh, I messed up for the day. I'm just going to scrap this week. Who cares? Oh, it didn't work out this week. Let's just forget about this month. So that was really the important thing for me, was getting back on track the following day. And sure enough, Sunday, get back on track, same kind of thing, planning out the food, measuring things out. So it all worked well. So I think that was for me at least a good balance between kind of a more regular kind of schedule with having a little bit more of a social life than I have in the past couple weeks. And then also being able to, though, get back on track for kind of what my plan and schedule is. So that worked really well. Of course, on the day of, didn't quite work as perfect as it would, but I think for me it worked in a good way. The other thing too that happened was I got my period. So, every month comes around, good Aunt Flo. But I think that also kind of a little bit messed with at least my weight for a couple of days. It seems like for the first couple of days that I kind of stayed to gain a little bit of weight. And then after that, dropped a little bit. So it's a little bit odd, a little bit uncharacteristic, but that's what happens. So that was the other thing that happened this week. The other thing I started noticing in the past week was I was looking at my food diary, and I have a lot of kind of repeated meals. So this is partially by design because for me it's just easier if I make a little bit more and then just do the same type of food for a couple days, maybe just switching out the proteins that I have or switching out the vegetables. But also it's just during the week sometimes I don't really want to think all that much about food. I just, would rather spend my time thinking about other things. So sometimes I just want the quick thing, quick option for a meal, which is usually just something I've done already in the past, either eaten it for lunch or eaten it yesterday for dinner. So with that though, unfortunately, I have kind of a lot of the same vegetables and also the same types of grains that I've been eating. And this was also spurred off of a YouTube video, as all my stories are. It's either a YouTube video or an Instagram ad. But I saw a video of this girl talking about your gut microbiome and how if you eat more than 30 different kind of plant-based foods within a week, that you can kind of diversify, I guess, or have more variety of bacteria within your gut. So I don't know the science behind it. I just feel like the probably more plant matter that I'm eating, probably the better off I am. So I want to try this out in the next week. So it includes any types of vegetables, of course, fruits, and then also for nuts, seeds, and legumes, and then also for the grains. So for me in the past week, typically I've been eating either bread or some sweet potato, and white rice has been mainly my grain and my starch source. So I could probably change it up a little bit, adding some brown rice in here and there, maybe some different types of grains. And then also for the vegetables, I think in the past week it was primarily cauliflower, cabbage, and zucchini. So I can definitely add a little bit more there. It's typically just I had a little bit too many of them, so I just had to keep eating them so they wouldn't go bad. But for this next week, I want to see if I can get up to that 30 for this past week, since I got a little bit shy of half at 14. So I think if I just add a little bit more diversity in my shopping list for the week, and then also just kind of being a little bit more conscious of that and getting more vegetables onto the plate, I think that'll really help out. The other thing that surprised me this week was that I shrunk a little bit based off of the tape measure. So I had never really used a tape measure too much in the past, but I wanted to get some numbers behind what's happening week to week, in addition to the progress photos that we have to take for our coaches. So while a picture's worth 1,000 words, the numbers are a little bit more clear, just to be honest. Now, with this, take it with a grain of salt. It's me measuring it myself, so it might be a little bit inconsistent. So I was actually thinking about getting one of those kind of automatic ones where you wrap it around what you're trying to measure and then it'll kind of snap close and retract so that it'll be a little bit more consistent. But right now we're just using the handy old tape measure. So for the past week, with my possibly faulty measuring, it said that I actually lost about a half inch in my waist, and then also a quarter inch from my left bicep, and then a quarter inch from my right thigh. I'm not sure why those are on two different sides of my body. I don't know if maybe I'm just a little bit crooked when I'm working out, or maybe those are just the ones that are building muscle and the other sides are kind of lagging. I don't know what's happening there, but they'll probably balance out eventually. So that's kind of it for the week, just a little bit of a recap on what's been going on, and then also for next week, focusing on those kind of 30 different plant foods that I can incorporate. So getting a little bit more variety on my grocery shopping list. So also looking forward, I guess, towards February, as you can tell already, have a little bit of a challenge for myself that I'm kind of already dreading that I don't know why I thought it up for myself, but we're going to do it. And you'll see what it is and you'll see why I'm dreading it when it comes along. But I think it's time to kind of kick myself out of my own little box, for lack of better words, my little hermit box, and just try something new and something that will be definitely tough. So thanks for watching though. I hope you had a wonderful day and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.